Hi Thomas, how are you?
Good to see you.
We're at an exciting event over here where we have many partners with success cases, but I really would love to hear from you. What are the key pillars for successful GenAI implementations? At clients that you have, can you share what are the key pillars?
So this is all about AI for business with RvL&x. It's about using models that are fit for purpose for what you want to achieve. It's about infusing the needed data and taking good care of that data. And it's about the governance, making sure that it's secure and you get the proper outcome while living up to the legislation of your industry or the country that you live in. So those are the three pillars. And I want to hear from some partners. We have a lot of them that has already built solutions that maybe could inspire others.
Let's go to talk to some partners. I'm going to on my tour, and I'll see you later.
Thank you.
Thanks. Bye-bye. Hi, Eric.
Hi.
How are you?
Good. You?
I just spoke to Thomas. Thomas was explaining all the pillars for being successful with GenAI. You were, let's say, in the field. You see a lot of hype. Everybody started running, starting implementing GenAI. What's your experience? Is that the right thing to jump on the hype, or do you think, okay, step back and...
Yeah, of course, we want to jump on the hype like everybody, but we've seen that it was not that easy. GenAI is super interesting, just like AI for the last years. But basically, what we see is that people have to focus on the value they want to create before they start implementing it. And as soon as they know the value they want to create, they will know a bit better what they have to do to make it the right way. Because if you don't do it the right way, you just buy problems, not value. And you have to build value.
And from a business perspective, can you give an example? What kind of value did the client define and what steps did they take to implement it?
Most often, the first cases we've seen is that they want to extract from documentations, informations to help users get the right information. And basically, as soon as people start to use it, trust the tool you give to them. And if they get the wrong information, it creates problems. Imagine you are just a car guy who just wants to repair a car, and you get the wrong information. You spend hours finding the failure of the engine, but ultimately it doesn't work. You've lost hours, maybe you've done something wrong, and you have additional work in the end. So this can really create problems, and this can be avoided just by thinking all the steps you have to go through to make it right. It's just like, if you want to reach the sun, don't go too fast and too far, otherwise you will be burned. That's exactly the same story.
Perfect. You have a colleague walking around here. I'm going to search him as well.
Yeah.
And I'm going to do some more deep dive because he's the tech guy.
He's the tech guy, absolutely, and he's super right.
Thanks, Eric.
Thank you.
Thanks. Hi, Sabri, how are you?
Good.
I just spoke to your colleague Eric. He was explaining how to be successful with LLMs, with GenAI, but also the trap from following a hype, start running, but don't know where to go to. You have more technical background, you have some great cases, some great experience with building GenAI projects. Can you share that project and why it was not successful and how to make it successful?
Yeah. So the trap indeed with the LLM is that you can quickly have a model running. In few or minutes, you integrate a few LLM, and then you have something. But you have no clue whether the accuracy is good, whether the security is correct, whether the way you chunk the data was correct. Just to give you an example, we had this legal LLM who was supposed to advise CDOs and data people whether their actions were compliant or not. So you can just type to LLM, well, I have, for instance, a data exchange between Japan and Europe, whether who is the controller, who is the processor, and having some kind of legal detail. And we quickly then identified that the way we chunked the data were not so accurate. And sometimes you had a response, and actually the response made sense. But when you click on the sources for defining where the response was generated, it was completely fuzzy actually. Sometimes it was just Japan or just few keywords, nothing to do with the query itself. And actually we realized that the way we chunked the data was completely wrong. And sometimes just this chunking strategy can have a lot of impact on your accuracy. The second thing is about verification, validation. It's something we've been doing for years in information retrieval, in data science. And weirdly not in LLM actually. Nobody is checking and validating anything. So you can have some validation on specific cases. You can even generate synthetic data out of a corpus of text and validating that your LLM is behaving correctly. The last example is actually the security. we realized that actually even with an LLM, you can attack an LLM and extract a lot of private information. So that means that even the text you use for the RAG, for the retrieval augmented generation, should be privacy protected. So we had this case where we had to first anonymize the complete data set before using it in the RAG. But without that, actually, we realized that we were able to attack the model to retrieve information. So that's typically the trap, actually, that people are falling into.
And where people start forgetting managing the risk, managing the quality. So in the end, it's data first. Have you act together with your data before you start with your LLMs and GenAI.
Exactly, and that's why data governance is so important, actually. So in IBM, they have this product, knowledge catalog, where you can define actually which data is private, not private. And then from there, you can define some processes to either letting the data being used into the RAG or just being anonymized, and then you can then integrate different processes at the point.
Can you explain a little bit more about that? Because it makes it very interesting to understand how to get the data secure, how to get the data right, the quality right, and where you can trust the data. What type of actions did you take to make that work?
Yeah, so that's ultimately part of what we call data governance, where actually all the data you have, all the data landscape should be then identified. So you should have first an inventory of your data. You should be able to tag actually the data, which data is PII, personal identified data, which data is confidential data, which data is financial, and even more, the semantic of the data. This data represents a customer account. This data represents a car or a transaction. And from there, you can have a complete coverage of your data landscape. This is where the data quality arrives, because then you can bring business people to define, okay, hey, this is the data about customer. What will be the criteria of quality, the KPI you would like to put there? And then we can transform that into technical KPIs, and we can then having a kind of dashboard of the quality of the data. And for security, actually, all the security processes should be then sourced by this data governance inventory. Because as soon as you know which data is under GDPR, which data is under any other regulation, you can adapt all the processes to get the data right.
Yeah, and where Eric was talking about, you need to trust the data, because in the end, the users need to use it. If they don't trust it and they don't get the right results, nobody's going to use it.
Yeah.
But if they can trust the data and be sure it's secure and be sure it's accurate, then they can start working with it, and then you can build a success case. But it's all about foundation.
Exactly.
Sabri, thanks a lot. Great insights. And I'm going to the next one.
Sure.
Thanks. Hi, Gregory. How are you?
I'm good, and you?
I'm very well. We had some great business cases here, how companies use GenAI, many different industries, but you are working in the academic world, which is very interesting. I really want to understand, on one hand, what do you see within the academic world? Are they ahead of the rest of the industry? And how do they apply GenAI?
Okay, so I'm working for academic software. We are an IT company focusing on education. Universities, research centers, and K-12 institutions are our customers. And what we see is we want to give them a safe playground concerning software, but also concerning AI. So a lot of institutions want to embrace AI, but they don't have the knowledge, the expertise. AI is changing quickly, and they don't have the resources to change everything. So we are giving them a safe playground to test AI. And we're also working with IBM on SPSS. So we have a very good partnership with IBM on that.
Can you share a more detailed case how the academics using the LLMs? Is it to doing research? Is it to collect data and create new reports, for example?
The thing is that they want to try to test it. They don't have a lot of knowledge or expertise, and they want to start with it. If we look to universities, they will play with it. If we go to research centers, it's really to get data, start really doing research topics on that.
And what's the success case? And is it facilitating research, speeding up research? Where's the success case?
Well, success case is we give a visibility to the IT directors of institutions on AI. AI, it's changing quickly, like I said, but there's a lot, and they don't see it anymore. So what we are doing is giving them visibility, but also, again, in a safe playground. So because if we look to ChatGPT, you have the tokens, and if you exceed the tokens, you get a bill. Yeah, institutions work with budgets, so if they have a 10 or 20K extra bill, it's a nightmare for them. So we are giving them a safe playground.
Gregory, thanks a lot.
Thank you very much.
And I'm going to the next case.
Thank you. Good luck. Bye.
Hey Geert.
Hi.
How are you?
I'm fine, thank you.
So we had some great cases over here,
yeah.
and everybody's now at the dinner.
Yes,
But
yeah,
I was lucky to catch you, and hopefully you get your dinner and your dessert and everything later on. But governance. Thomas mentioned already, this is one of the key pillars. If you start an AI project, if you start a GenAI project, without governing your data, without, let's say, being compliant with the EU Act. Can you explain how companies can start with their governance if they start a new AI project? What are steps that they need to take and how to be compliant?
Yeah, sure. Within our company, we started a new business unit that really focuses on how to do AI in a compliant way. And of course, one of the very important recent things to do is to be compliant with the EU AI Act. And there's a lot of work to be done in that space. We started a new business unit focusing especially on that one. And the guys, they're legal people. They know all about the EU AI Act and all the complexities. And accidentally, they had to look at what Watson-X governance is doing in that space. And they look at it as a fantastic tool to help support their customers in getting the compliancy with EU AI Act when it comes to AI.
Can we get a little bit more in depth? So can you give some examples? What type of compliancy they should manage? Is it your data and being compliant with the EU Act?
All the way. Everything that is within the EU AI Act from the starting point up to delivering the models is what are the things? Traceability, ethics, all the elements that are in the EU AI Act, you can find them back in the Watson-X governance. So the story they tell to customers from a legal and compliance perspective can be supported by the tooling that IBM provides.
Transparency of your models, everything basically. Yeah. And why is it so important?
Oh, do I need to tell you why EU AI Act is important?
No. Why this governance is so important? Because many small companies, they forget. They are very enthusiastic. They start running, creating models. They put it in public LLMs.
Well, it's important from a legal perspective, but it's also the exposure as a company, the risk that you're having as a company to be exposed to. You don't want to be in the news with something you've done with AI that is racist, for instance. Correct. You don't want to do that. So it's from a business perspective, but also from a compliance.
But that's what many organizations, especially small organizations, don't understand. If you look to the large organizations, you see that they take sometimes 6 to 12 months to build their governance model before they even start thinking about use cases with GenAI. So, and the small companies, they just start, give people some tools, and people start throwing either PII data in it or some confidential data.
It's the two speeds that you need to manage. It's the ones that are trying to do everything in a compliant way, but don't get to the business cases because they look at it as a complexity. Correct. And there's the other ones that just are playing around, but they don't think about compliance. And you need to manage them both.
Getting compliant AI with success cases. Yes. That's it. Thanks, Geert. I'm going to the next one, and hopefully you can get still some dessert. So.
Okay.
All right. Thank you. Thanks. Hi, Hans.
Hey.
How are you?
Thank you.
We've seen great cases, all different kind of industries, but you are the data analytics guy and the AI guy, where you use data to predict, and especially in the domain of, let's say, data analytics and software type of issues that could occur by learning from one client and predict it for the other clients. Can you explain that case? Because it's
this is greatly explained already.
I didn't want to explain it for you. But
okay, but this is great. Actually, what we do is, in fact, with the InfoCare solution, we have the data from different clients, and we, based upon the solutions or problems we had with one client, we learn for other clients, so we can tell them, okay, you will have this in so many weeks or days, and that's actually added value we have with the software. That's why we use AI in our case. Yeah.
And this is from let's say, software maintenance perspective. So you're monitoring.
Yes, and operational execution actually.
Okay.
So what is happening in production databases? Yeah, when will they have an outage? Yeah, when can an outage happen? Yeah, and when we see that at one client, we solve it. That's one thing, but then we learn from that case and we transpond it to other clients to see, do we have the same symptoms coming up in the next coming weeks? And that's how we learn, and then we can advertise those clients. Okay, you might have that problem in 1 or 2 weeks because of that and that reason. Yeah, and that's how I use AI.
And you don't use any sensitive data because it's more.
No, it's only metadata. Yeah, we don't use any real data. So yeah, InfoCare is only using metadata. We don't use anything else. So otherwise, yeah,
it can be more sensitive. I like the case, and I think a great example in one of the examples that we've seen tonight. And hopefully you can get now to your next part in your dinner.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Okay.
Thanks. Hi Virgile. Hi Jean-Paul.
Hi.
Good to meet you. We have to be a little bit close to be on camera. Thank you for missing your dessert and missing part of your dinner.
I hope this will not be a big issue. They will wait on us.
I hope so. Thank you for joining me here and sharing your experience with data governance and with risk management and also with ethics in the domain of finance. Finance is a very specific area. There's a lot of regulations.
Yeah.
Who wants to kick off? Explain a little bit of the challenges with the regulations.
I will do so.
All right.
Yeah, because especially in Luxembourg, because we are covering this market, the financial sector as a regulator, which means you cannot do whatever you want with your data on-prem or in cloud without an approval of the regulators. And we have seen with AI, generative AI, that's the hot topic at the moment. And a lot of banks, insurance, and other industries have tried to use ChatGPT as we do in a personal way. It's very useful when you are trying to generate content or summarize a text or whatever you want to be creative. But with your own data as a bank, you have some issues because you have to be very careful about the compliance, about the way to explain what your model is doing with AI, and to show to the regulators that you master everything what is done with these technologies in AI. And that's why we are working together closely with IBM and the large range of products they provide, just to ensure all the way to explain these models.
So the models need to be transparent.
Exactly.
And the question is, how can you manage that? So can you help me out to explain that?
Yeah, maybe as a compliment, because there's a lot of pressure on the technology departments within those customers to help the business to use the AI technologies, because there's a stress to be on the competition. And so they play with ChatGPT and they see they could use it for doing business, but then they recognize with our partners in discussion that there are this risk associated. And then we come in together with our partners to explain a little bit that there are all those risks, and they have to be very careful because they have financial exposure, legal exposure, but there are solutions on the market where you know exactly on which data you work on. They are validated. There are less bias, and you said you can control. You have a transparent way to control which data is used and which is certified. So we are trying to sensibilize our customers that there are ways to go that way, but it's not that easy. It's like we have seen before in the presentation that it seems quite simple to use ChatGPT to come to an interesting outcome, but maybe the outcome you have no right to use it because it's completely illegal what you're doing, or you need to pay fees to all the data you have been using.
And is one of the challenges to manage the process to get your approval, or is it the challenge to have it transparent, explain what data you use, and make it transparent to the authority to get approval?
No, I would say from our side, we have the means to prove this to the authorities, but it's more on the customer side that they become aware that it's not that simple process and that they need to really take care on how they deploy these solutions. It's more that way, and to get the understanding of the risk and the way to proceed in a well manner, not to to fall into the pitfall, in fact, with all the risk associated.
But I think in general, in financial industry, it is clear that you need to manage AI responsibly compared to maybe some other industries who are more cowboys and just start, where the financial industry is aware of this, but it's indeed a challenging process.
And therefore, we notice a general, let's say, they do trials, but they're not really in the game in Luxembourg because they're quite cautious and afraid of doing things wrong, and then you might be out of business because of the visibility of the market, and the market is a very small market.
Yeah.
So you have to do it right the first time.
And it's a balance between be competitive and fast versus do it right, but right is critical.
And it's in the financial services is a must.
Yeah.
You don't have the choice.
Perfect. Thanks, Paul.
Thank you for the
Thanks, Virgile.
Thanks, you.
And I'm going to my last booth. Thanks.
Good luck.
We shared some great cases in for here. They start out the ceremonies, they start with the awards, but we're very happy to have Thomas introducing with all the pillars that you need for being successful with GenAI. After we had all the different cases, whether it was from retail, whether it's from academic. I hope you enjoyed it. We're going to celebrate now the award and hope to see you next time. Bye.